class, history class anyway. This is Mr. Bunn, me. I'm not here today, but I'm going to go through this document with you that you started yesterday, and you can see it on the screen here. We're going to fill out the right-hand column. Now, this is going to be real short. I'm just going to give you a couple tips on this whole populism idea that started in the late 1800s, about 1890, and it basically started because there was a huge change in the country at the time. This industrial revolution was causing a lot of change. One of the major changes was to the farmers. These machines and these big businesses started to kind of take over, and what we had these little small mom-and-pop farms started to have a hard time keeping up. And it's a lot of the same stuff that happens today as businesses get bigger. But the workers, we talked about the workers in these factories and these different places, these industries, they were really being treated unfairly, and they were doing so much work and making these owners so rich, and they weren't seeing any of the results or the fruits of their labor. So we're going to go through this lesson real quick, and you should fill in the things that I type and as I talk, and then after the lesson's over you should be able to answer the final question, question number 5, and then you will turn this in to the sub. So first things first, what caused the populist movement? Again, I have already mentioned this a little bit, but one of the major things that caused it was the huge change in the economy. All right, huge change in American. Sorry, I'm typing this with my broken finger, guys. American economy. All right. Another one is we moved from an agricultural country to an industrial one. So less farms, more factories, and this caused a lot of the mom-and-pop farmers to really have a hard time. But also another one was not only in the industry, in the factories, it was working conditions. So I'm going to say working conditions and wages. And we've talked about this a ton. You guys did the union project. This was one of the things that really caused people to get upset. They just got sick and tired of being treated fairly, seeing the factories making all this money and not getting any kind of help or increases. And those are some of the factors that caused that. Plus another one was the need, I guess I could say, like the widening gap between rich and poor. And what that means is the poor kept getting poorer or staying poor, and the rich kept getting richer and richer and richer, and it caused some problems. So anyway, I'll put some dashes here to make this separate. And then if you need some help, if you need to pause the video, we can pause it and you can finish writing these. All right, question 2. What did the populists want, and what did they try to accomplish? Well, there were several reforms that the populists asked for. One of them was they wanted us to print more money, all right? And in their mind, they felt that that would help ease the problems of some of the farmers needing more money for maybe capital, the money needed to start a business. They felt that would help. Sometimes it does. Our government prints money now and prints more at times, but if you print too much money, it makes it worth less. Just like anything else, if there's a bunch of something, its value goes down. So but they wanted that. They wanted an increase in money circulation, we call that. They also wanted an income tax change. They called it a progressive income tax. And I know some people had this yesterday, and what a progressive income tax is you get taxed more the more you make. All right, so more income equals higher tax. And that we have that now, but they didn't have it then. So the more money you make now, you go up a bracket. So if you make, say, $25,000 a year, you get taxed at, say, I don't know, 15%. So 15% of your money that you earn gets put into taxes, whereas if you make $125,000 a year, you get taxed at like 30%. So that's a progressive income tax, all right? Another thing that they asked for, they liked, they encouraged unions, all right? So they liked unions, labor unions, for fighting for rights of the workers. They also wanted lower working hours, and a lot of the demands that came with the union, so lower working hours. And these are all basic things that we have today that came out of this movement. So I guess there's more in the reading, but these are the ones that I want you to focus on the most. Okay, so anyway, that's what they wanted. What did they try to accomplish? They tried to accomplish all these things. And then the next one, what did they achieve? What did they achieve? Well, some of the stuff they didn't achieve right away, but I can tell you one thing that they achieved is they definitely woke. I'm going to put this here. They woke up the factory owners and the rich. And what do I mean by that? Well, at first they were just kind of thought of as a bunch of people complaining about stuff, no real big power. But when they formed a political party that ended up getting 1 million votes in the election, well, that woke some people up. All right, that was a big change, and that made some of the other, like the other two political parties, really start to realize that these people are serious and they have a following. A lot of the farmers, some of the Western factory workers, coal miners, things like that, they supported this idea. All right, so they woke up the farmers, or they woke up the rich, and then a lot of their ideas became law, like the unions, all right, and some of the other the work hours, women's rights to vote, things like that. Okay, and the last one that you guys were asked was what brought about the demise of the Populist Party. One of the major problems, I guess, was that some of the things that they were fighting against, for instance, crop prices. All right, crop prices actually started to rise around the turn of the century, so around 1900, and what that did was that kind of quieted some of the people down that were so vocal and so much into the populist movement. So a rise in crop prices, and then another one was they were unable to really get enough votes from the North. So I'll type that as inability to get enough votes from the industrial North. Okay, so that's another one. They weren't able to get enough votes. So what they did, though, is they, like I said in question 3, is they got people thinking about the workers are not someone that you can just do anything to and they're going to just keep taking it. All right, like we talked about yesterday with some of these jobs that not everybody would want. People will take certain jobs. However, if you keep slamming them down and keep making them feel like they're worthless, at some point they're gonna rise up against it. And so that was one of the big things. But the Populist Party, they also, one of the things that it mentioned in the reading yesterday, and it's in your book also, is that sometimes they spent too much time on rhetoric. So in other words, they talked about a lot of stuff over and over and over again, but then there wasn't always enough follow-through on some things. So a lot of times today when you hear politicians talk, they'll always talk about the working man or the working person, and they'll say, I'm a fan of workers, or I'm a candidate for the working man and stuff. And so sometimes people always think, yeah, you're a rich congressman, what do you know about the working person? And so people sometimes get a little upset with that. And I'm not saying it's bad. A lot of times it's true. Some of these congressmen may have working families that they come from, but sometimes you hear people talk and you don't always follow it and don't believe in it. So sometimes the rhetoric got old, I guess is something you could say. So anyway, now that you have some of this information, you have stuff from the reading yesterday. If you need to get the reading again, you can. Also, there's in the book, there's page 193. There's some helpful stuff there that you could use. But now what you need to do is answer question number 5. And it says, was the populist movement ultimately successful? They did not win an election. All right, this was a political party like a Democrat or Republican, but they did not win an election. But does that mean they were unsuccessful or not? So that's what you guys need to answer now and explain it. And then when you're done, you can turn it in. And that's it. So hopefully things will go well today, the rest of the hour. You will have some other things to work on if you get done early. Just remember that please be nice and helpful to the substitute. Thank you. Mr. Bunn, signing out.